we have already understood what are the knowledge areas, and we had this. You know those numbers, right? The how many knowledge areas, how many competencies, how many perceptions, right? Perspectives. So these are the
Yes.
things that we discussed last. So the now knowledge areas are, we need to get into deep in each of the knowledge areas. The knowledge areas per se is, that is where you need to develop your competency for business analysis. Every within that area where you need to have deep knowledge is the question that we had. So the first knowledge area that we were talking about was business analysis, planning and monitoring. So let us go deep in this. So for that, your outcomes generally, once we understand this, so we should be able to plan business analysis approach, how to plan stakeholder engagement, how to plan business analysis, information management and governance. These are the terms like governance. These are the terms which are very important we to understand. How to identify business analysis performance improvements, how understand tools and techniques used in business analysis, planning, and monitoring. So this is what we need to look at. So naturally, these are some questions, general questions that we keep asking whenever you want to do business analysis without any planning. Can you start the moment? So why all this structured thing is, you can as well start without much structure. But generally, what happens is, if you go without structure, without planning, you end up doing whatever you like. It's not what you actually desire, and the outcome will not be in a structured way. So majority of times, hope you would have seen in your ERP implementations also, people go with without any tools and techniques or planning. Suddenly they go and sit before the customer and talk whatever they want, and then note down whatever they like and come back. So in this kind of things, many questions that are supposed to be asked, we miss. Have you faced this kind of situation anytime, Paula? Or
No,
everything
no,
your
I
was
have
structured?
no.
Yeah. So there is something actually in this context I wish to say. Unless you are God, you should plan and go. See, for God, we have in India one story that they say one time in a river, one crocodile caught one elephant's leg. Elephant went for drinking water. It just got down into the water. It was just before taking drinking, it just moved, picked up water. It was throwing on its head. It was shaking everything, and this crocodile came and it caught the leg. Initially, elephant thought, okay, it can take it off, and it tried. It could not. Finally, it lost all its hopes. That is when it prayed the God, God, you should come and save me. So that time the description is God runs to save this elephant. Without, he doesn't bother about taking his tools like. So if he wants to kill a crocodile, he has to throw some weapon. That weapon he doesn't take nothing. He takes. He just runs. All other things follow him. We are not gods, no. So we should plan. We should take all our tools, whatever we want to do. So we should have preparation. If without preparation, if we go, it doesn't, we'll not be able to do a good job. Got it?
Yes, I do.
I just put the story to
I know.
so that it remains in
Yeah.
your mind. So
Mm-hmm.
BSCCM is one thing
Oh, sorry, I can't hear you.
that
Hello. Sorry, I can't. I can't hear you. Sorry.
we have.
Hello.
Give me a minute. I'm just putting my earphones on. I thought it is
Okay.
okay. Is it okay now?
Yes. Okay
Yeah,
now. Yeah.
we heard about yeah. business analysis core concept model is what we have. This is what we have seen, no? Business analysis core concept model, BACCM. Here, is it okay? I'm hearing some echo. That's okay, no? You are able to hear me, Fola? Hello, Fola? You're there? Fola?
Hello, I'm here, but I can't hear you.
You
Hello.
can't hear me. Yeah.
Okay.
I am able to hear you. Yeah.
Okay, I hear you
Is it
again.
okay
You were
now?
going in and out.
Yeah. Oh, okay. 1 second. I mean, it is okay, but I don't know why suddenly you didn't hear. Anyway, it's now let us go ahead. So, business analysis core
Okay.
concept model. We understood this. Stakeholder will have needs. Those needs will. I told you this story, no? So those needs will lead to changes. Changes will lead to solutions. Solutions will have different contexts, which will add value to the customer stakeholder. Okay. Right. Now, when you come to any of this kind of knowledge areas or processes, you should always look at what are the inputs, what are the tasks to be done, and what are the outputs. So that's how you look at it. You got my point. So any of this kind of knowledge areas when you are looking at, even in PMP project management course also, if you look at there you will be looking at different processes. For each process, what are the inputs, what are the tools and techniques you use, and what are the outputs. Similar way here, for each knowledge area, you have inputs, your task to be performed, and outputs. Is it okay? Audible to you? Follow?
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
right. So what are the inputs? Inputs are the first, when you are looking at the planning, you should be aware that the stakeholder, what are the stakeholders' requirements? So what are the needs? So you should know what are the needs and what are the influences, internal influences and external influences. All these things you should consider as inputs for planning and monitoring business analysis. So for that, what are the tasks to be performed? Plan business analysis approach. How do you want to approach? So what do you mean by approach? Any idea what is the approach that you want to take for business analysis? What should be approach? The moment you say approach, yeah.
The tools I want to use or the methods, right?
Now, what kind of methods you use generally?
Plan business analysis approach, like methods to gather for elicitation.
Now, how do you get that is my question. See, now you go and you want to talk to, first of all, first and foremost, you need to know who are the stakeholders. Whom should you talk to? Are you going to talk to them or you are going to go through some documents? What is your approach? You got my point. Now, if you want to go and talk to them, suppose you talk to them for 1 hour. After 1 hour, how do you document it? So when you are talking, are you going to record it or you are not going to record? If you don't record, do you write your minutes of meeting? Now, how do you ensure that whatever the other person has told, you have understood? Right. That is where we were. I was telling. I think I would have mentioned this word. No, paraphrasing. Have you heard this word, paraphrasing?
Yes,
Yeah. So, what is meant by paraphrasing?
like to kind of put the words in another way, like maybe like a summary or how you understand it, but you're still trying to connect. I mean, it's still the same thing, but you're saying it in a different way.
That's right. Like what we have completed when we completed the first topic, the entire introduction. You asked me at the end. You said this is what you are trying to tell, right? You told me
Yes,
that. So that is called paraphrasing. Whatever I have told you, you have paraphrased in your own words in such a way that I understand that you understood. This phrase is good. You got it,
yes,
Fola? So
yes,
what when do we say communication is complete? See, this is one important principle for communication. When do you say communication is complete? Communication is complete when the communicator, the source person, if I am communicating to you, if I understand that you understood what I have mentioned in the same way as I intended, then the communication is said to be completed.
Yes.
So that's how the moment you take the business analysis approach means you should understand what the other person is communicating to you, and you should be able to communicate back to that person saying that this is the way that I have understood, and both should be in sync so that tomorrow you don't miss out any point. That is number one. So many people record such sessions such that they'll go back and listen to the same thing again, ensure that all points are captured. Now, these points have to be documented. If you want to document, you need to have templates. So you need to prepare those templates first. So first, if you have got organizational process assets, you already have in your assets, you got the templates, you can use it. If you don't have, you need to create some templates such that those are the templates in which you are going to write it, and the stakeholder should understand and sign off that requirement, such that that becomes the document for future. Right. So how are you going to do? That's what is the final your approach on whether you are going to use meetings. You are going to have. We already told some other things, right? Focus groups. Have you heard this word focus groups? You can have interviews. You can have focus groups. What is meant by interview? What is meant by focus groups?
Yes, I know focus group.
Yeah, focus groups, when you say you have all the stakeholders, suppose you can go and you can do interviews one-on-one and get the information. That is one way. When you want to get information evolving from the teams themselves, then you need to create focus groups there, focus groups from the stakeholders. Those they will discuss among themselves and come up with these are the essential points that we want in our system, or we want the help for transformation. So business analysis, if you can get from customer side, what are the a focus group, so they will churn out, they will discuss amongst themselves and come out with what is actually required. So you can once that document comes out, you can as well capture from that. You understand that document, you ask questions on that, and you capture that information. The other way is interviewing. You go and talk to individual stakeholder, interview them, note down all the points, put them in a structured way, and then give it to them. This entire thing requires planning. Planning because people are not available just like that. Though it is their customers' requirement, though they are spending money, it will be unfortunate to note that many a times you have to wait for them, and end of the day they may cancel the session also. So you need to have what is the plan. It has to be properly planned, and also contingencies have to be planned. Otherwise, you miss out a lot of meetings, you miss out a lot of information. So all that. So you have to be very clear on what are the sources from which you need to get the information. First is stakeholders. All the stakeholders have to be mapped, and you need to understand these stakeholders. Number two, based on the type of stakeholders, how do you approach them? Do you take a prior schedule? Calendar will be prepared and circulated, and you follow up that. And do you need to send a mail a day before, or do you have a PMO who will take care of all that? You just need to go there and complete your task. So all these things you should be very clear. Okay. Now, plan stakeholder engagement. That's what I just mentioned. You need to know different people, different types of personalities, mentalities will be there. Some people will be available. Some people will be very busy that they are not available. And so stakeholder engagement approach, you should have a clarity on that. Next is plan business analysis governance. Governance is the word that I was mentioning. What do you mean by governance? What do you mean by governance? Why you need to say governance? What is the difference between governance and control? There will be controls, there will be governance. What is the difference between these two?
I really can't tell the difference. Sorry.
I want to confuse you.
You already confused me.
So my task is that only. So if I confuse you, I then you become you very clear, no? So a lot of words we get confused. The idea is I got confused many times. So I always look at how to clarify myself. So that's what I'm trying to put it to you also. Governance
Okay.
is generally when you say governance is they are not supposed to intervene into your work. Governance is I should tell that, boss, you have to follow these rules. You got my point. Policies I need to create. I need to give you the rules you need to follow. So whether you have to go in formal dress for your meetings or not, whether you have to what documents you have to carry, and how much your document should be, when do you need to submit? Do you need to take a sign off or not? And all those things, whatever policy that you have, you can talk about anything. But controlling need not be done by the governance thing. Governance is to give you a path or a policy, a rule, rather to say governance is to give a rule to you. This is the way that you have to do, nothing else. There is no compromise. You got it? So you have to, in the US, you drive left to left. So you walk on right side, you keep right, and you drive from left side, no? So that's it. Keep right is in the US. In India, it is keep left. We keep left side, you keep right side. That's a you can't compromise on such things because that's the rule you have to follow. Otherwise, you collide. So whenever opposite vehicle comes, in the US, you have to turn to right. You cannot be on the left side when the opposite vehicle comes. So the same way, governance is to give you policies and rules to follow. Clear?
Yes, clear.
Okay. Now, plan business analysis, information management. So again, the another word, management. See, governance is one thing, management is another thing. Management is, so once I get the information, how do I get the information? What do I do with that information? How do I translate it? So all this is called management. I am managing that. So once I get the information, I'm managing that in such a way that will become useful. So that analysis, you need to have plan, business analysis, information management. Management basically means where do I put that information? How do I translate it? Like what I said, do I have templates? So once I get the templates, now I get the sign off from them. So I sign off and they sign off. After that, what do I do? So where do I put this information? Will it be soft copy? Will it be hard copy? Am I going to put into a shared folder such that project team can approach it? All that is called information management. Clear?
Clear, yeah.
Right. Now, the next one is identify business analysis and performance improvements. What do you mean by performance improvements? Business analysis and identify business analysis, performance improvements. So now, once you are doing this, you will understand there are two things. One is customers' performance improvement is one aspect, but we are looking at how do you improve performance in business analysis itself. Why do you need to improve performance in business analysis? See, once you have done something, that is where you understand where you are getting the gaps. Whatever preparation you have done, once you have done something, then what happens, if with your past experience or with the customer thing, how do I improve my performance in business analysis itself? Because I can't take n number of days. I was just talking to my niece yesterday. She's in Singapore doing some say sustainability from Ernst and Young. So she's doing the consultancy. I said if you go to the stakeholder and you talk to them, they would say you are a very small child. You come and teach us all these things. So what do? Right? That's a possibility. You
Yes.
got so many times the other person is a veteran, so that person will look at you as a child, and he will tell, "I know all these things." How do you manage that? So that's where business analysis, performance improvements. You need to address that area to improve your performance. So we talk about empathy, all these things. So she was answering me that when I said, do you have empathy? You should have empathy. Yes, you are right. We need to have empathy. But if I start empathizing my stakeholder, I have a problem to be, my team will be pushing me to close things faster. I have deadlines to meet. So I can't go on, keep on empathizing my customer. That's another challenge to be faced, right? This is one problem, you understand anytime?
Yeah, she's right. I have a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
How do you identify
Yeah,
um, business analysis performance improvement in the planning stage when you've not
right,
even actually started?
right, right, right. No, how do you identify? You're asking. Yeah, see, at the planning stage, where things can go wrong, how you can improve the performance. That's how it is. So, how do I expedite it? See, always when I do projects, I would look at what are the things I can do parallel. The first and foremost thing, do I have how many people I have? Can I do things parallelly? If I do sequentially, I lose a lot of time. So if I do parallelly, I get things faster. That is number one. Nowadays, you got so many tools, right? When I am talking itself, Google gives you everything converts to text. So whatever I talk, it converts to text. Then all that I need to do is edit it and make it a proper document. And if I have somebody at back office to whom I can transfer these things, then they can as well, convert it into the structured format. See, if you look at what I told you, when I take business analysis approach itself, for me the problem is how do I elicit the requirements. Number two, how do I document them? How do I get it for sign off? These are all the tasks I have for business analysis. Now, in this case, if I go sequentially, it will take time. So if I put somebody for doing the elicitation part of it, if somebody can do at the back end the documentation, things will become faster. Yes or no?
Yes.
That's how you can do. So I tried many things, but of course, a lot of times you may not get the same support you expect. You will be running at jet speed. Uh, all your team members may not run at that speed sometimes. So your ideas will be running fast, and you will be running fast. Sometimes you have to look at your team also and make adjustments. Got it?
Yes, I do.
Right. So now this is one by one. Again, we have to go through what each of the tasks will go through. Plan business analysis approach. Define overall method to conduct business analysis activities. So what do you do for that? When you are planning, you are asking about this one. What is the purpose of this? You should be business analysis. You should be very clear. And so here, what is the input? Input is the need, and planning of business analysis, creation or selection of what methodology. I have already told what should be the methodology. Are you going to have meetings? Are you going to have one-on-one meetings? Are you going to have focus groups? What is the idea? And identify what are the deliverables, and define activities and tasks. Next comes who will do all these things. Timing, sequencing. Sequencing is one thing that I told you just now. How exactly you want to do the sequencing.
So can you give me an example of the deliverables? What do you mean by BA deliverables?
Be deliverables. See, once you have elicited all the requirements have to be signed off. See, without customer signs off whatever you have understood, then you cannot proceed further. To do that, you need to have a structured document. So, how do you put your say you have gone for accounting module only? Will take your accounting module. So now, once you have done the requirement for accounting module, you need to give that document to customer to go through whether your understanding is correct or not. Number one, what are the requirements? What are the gaps? Have you understood? Now, once you understood the gaps, what are the things that you're going to provide to customer, whether it is in terms of reports, in terms of dashboards, in terms of application itself, what are you going to give? So all that they should be clear. Now, certain you also have to have some kind of dictionary. Whatever words that you use, you need to elaborate them. So this entire thing comes in the form of business analysis document. We call it as SRS. You know SRS, no? I don't need to explain to you. BRS or SRS. You know that, right? Business requirement specification document or software requirement specification. Those are the deliverables that you
Okay.
have. I could have just like that told BRS, SRS. You would have got it. Okay, fine,
No.
fine. Right. So
Thank
that's
you.
that's what you need to give. Welcome. Right now, what are the different elements in business analysis, plan business analysis approach? Planning methods fall between predictive and adaptive approaches. So this is important, right? Predictive, what I told you is predictive kind of thing, where I want customer to give all the requirements in the beginning only. I don't want to deviate. If any deviation is there, I would put to change control board. But adaptive approach is different. I understand that customer cannot give me all the requirements in the beginning. So I can have a broad scope, broad boundaries, but I can always approach customer for giving me any changes that they would require after seeing a prototype or after seeing the initial development. So this is another method, that is adaptive approach. So you have to be very clear on how you want to approach the business analysis and how do you want to take it. So it should be, because just because you're going for adaptive approach, you cannot postpone getting the requirements. Then everything will fail. So adaptive approach does not mean postponing the requirement collection. Okay, you know the difference between these two, right? So you work to getting the maximum, but in case they are not able to express, as you go ahead, they want to come up with requirements, you have to accept that and proceed. Right? So if I say, you understand chart of accounts, right? You're an account-
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So when you go and ask customer, give me chart of accounts. So they'll say they would first expect you to explain how you are expecting the chart of accounts in your ERP. So now second is, they would say, I have got multiple organizations. I need to collate all these things and there may be some changes. You should have flexibility. So chart of accounts cannot be frozen. Though you would love to see that in the beginning itself, but you cannot freeze it. So that means your system should be good enough to adapt for the changes, right? Have you understood this?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I
And
do.
do you know the schedules? So we say in a balance sheet, along with your balance sheet, you give the schedules. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Schedules part. So when you want to give schedules, so they will say that there also I cannot give you all in the beginning itself. My schedules depends upon my my auditor. Auditors will pick up that. So we need to give that information and we should be flexible enough to build the schedules in the system. So that's how it is. So these things, that is an adaptive approach, if you have understood that.
Yes, that's clear. Thank you.
Right, right, thank you. So formality and level of details of BA. So formality and level of details of BA deliverables. This is what we spoke about. SRS, PRS are based on the planning approach. This also we understand. So what you are going to give as a document, it depends upon how you want to approach it. So that's how you would put the deliverables also. Identify and break down activities into tasks. So this is one more thing. Activities are, so when you are planning, what happens is, what are the different things I want to achieve, you will put. So from that level, you need to convert it into tasks. So if I want to collect requirement is one statement. If I want to collect requirement, how do I approach? How do I go there? What time I should go there? And what tools I need to pick up? Like it could be dictaphone, it could be some notes that you want to take. So what is that? What is that you take? And what first task? What do you do? So note down all the requirements. Then you document them. After doing the documentation, you have to ask for proofreading. Somebody has to read it, edit it. Somebody to give it for editing. And once you finalize, give it for customer to validate. So once a customer has validated, send it for sign off. So once sign off is done from customer side, you also sign off and submit the final document to the customer. So that's how you need to break down activities.
So would this be the same as putting together a work breakdown structure for the
Yes,
business
yes. Similar,
analysis
similar.
activities
That's right.
itself.
Same.
Okay.
Same.
Thank you.
Timing for business analysis tasks to be performed. You should have timing for each task, how much time you take. So that is important. For every task, if you are splitting them into minor tasks, then you will be able to estimate. If you have the task to the level, if you have broken down the task to the level that where you can estimate, you will be able to estimate the time. So complexity and size of the change and overall risk, if any changes are required, like what I said. So if it is a chart of account, any account you want to add, remove your account you want to remove, ledger account, I mean. So ledger account you want to add or remove, or you want to change your schedule, that may not be very difficult. Suddenly somebody comes and changes, says that after defining the entire thing, if they say that my entire group has to change, so then you need to see what are the risks involved in that. So that's how it is. Or I want to change the entire ledger account. I want to merge two ledger accounts. So then the complexity increases. So that's how you need to look for. Business analysis approach reviewed and agreed upon by key stakeholders. Whatever approach you take, you want to do conduct the interviews, you want to conduct, as I said, focus groups or any other discussions. So then your stakeholders should accept that. Business analysis approach reviewed and agreed by stakeholders. You are clear with these things, right?
Yes, I'm clear. Thank you.
Right. Welcome. These are the different elements. Now, guidelines and tools. Guidelines and tools while planning BA approach. BA analysis performance assessment. So, how you have done the analysis, your performance assessment is one thing that you need to look at, and how you engage stakeholders. So, these two are very important. So, how much time you are taking for completing the tasks, how much you are the document preparation, how much time it is taking, and are you able to submit on time? These are all very important. Guidance while planning BA approach are business policies, methodologies and framework, and expert judgment. Expert judgment comes everywhere. So when you are trying to do something, the biggest tool will be expert judgment. Why do you require expert judgment for business analysis?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Why do you require expert judgment? There is a statement called expert judgment as
Yes.
a guidance that you would get for business analysis approach. Why do you require expert judgment is what I'm saying.
I believe you will require expert judgment, especially when you're doing your requirements. I mean, the design, designing the solution or trying to,
No, even before that, we are talking about BA approach, planning BA approach, business analysis. How I want to do your planning.
So you want to make sure, you probably want to make sure you have an expert judgment. So it's going to be very useful in that area when you're planning your activities and your task.
Right. See, even the templates that you want to use, you require expert judgment. If you already have knowledge, no problem. If you don't have knowledge, you better consult one expert who will explain you how you want to use those templates. That's number one. Number two, whether to use dictaphone or not. Somebody will say, don't waste your time on all those things here. Just go listen to the person. So focus on listening, ask questions. Just wasting time on recording, whether it is recorded, not recorded properly, that doesn't make sense. Ask the person, understand, note down. So they may say like that also. Some people will say, no, you may miss it. You may miss the requirements. Please carry dictaphone. Dictaphones are good. You just switch on the dictaphone, get the recording done, come back, review that once more so that you don't miss anything. So this is expert judgment, right?
Okay.
So that is important. There are, see, we are talking about certain items. Just see the sequence of it. One is the knowledge area that we are talking about. That is business analysis, planning, and monitoring. For that, what is the purpose of doing that? Second is, what are the elements involved in that planning? Number three, you have got the guidance and tools. Number four is, what are the techniques involved? So what are the techniques involved? brainstorming. I have, like I said, focus groups. There is one more thing called brainstorming. For focus groups also do brainstorming. What is that brainstorming? So when you are trying to understand the requirements, having a brainstorming session will always help with the customers. If they are not done, if they are not come up with what they want, so then having a brainstorming session will make a lot of sense. And of course, if you are doing within your organization also, you can conduct these brainstorming sessions. So brainstorming session, you know what is brainstorming? No, I don't need to explain.
Yes, I do know. I know
Yeah. So
brainstorm.
brainstorming sessions will lead to business cases. Why you want to, after discussing a lot, you will understand why you want to take up something. So what is the business case for the entire project? Next comes document analysis. So business cases are prepared. After that, you analyze the documents and you estimate them, and you do financial analysis. And for financial analysis, you have to decompose the functional requirements, and from that will lead to interviews, item tracking, lessons learned, process modeling. Process modeling is what type of process you are going to use, the sequence of processes, all that stuff. And reviews, you should regularly review whatever you are doing, whatever task you are doing. Review should be there. Risk analysis and management, you should identify what are the risks, and you need to always look at how do you mitigate the risks. And scope modeling is what is the scope of your entire project, and how you want to get that, how you want to control within that, and how you deliver that scope. So you should have idea about that scope, because you cannot go beyond your scope. That's the fundamental thing. And survey and questionnaire workshop, these are all different techniques, one after the other. These are different techniques. You can conduct workshop, you can conduct brainstorming sessions, you can go through business cases, you can do document analysis, you can do estimations, you can do financial analysis, you can do functional decomposition. Interviews is another thing, item tracking is another thing, and lessons learned from different projects. You can have the lessons learned within this project also. You need to have the lessons learned. You have plan for your processes, you conduct your review sessions. Risk analysis, you do scope. What is the scope? Entire scope you should know. You should know the boundaries of your scope. So that is what is scope modeling. And survey and questionnaire, end of it. And you conduct workshop. These are all different techniques you can use for your business analysis.
Okay, so just to clarify, these are
Yeah.
different techniques, but they are not sequential, right?
You don't need to worry about the sequence. Sequence
Because
can be
the
anything.
kind of
Yeah.
the arrow is confusing to me. Like
Arrow is
like it's
confusing,
sequential.
definitely. You don't need to really follow the sequence. That's not
Okay,
required.
okay.
So
I can
these are all
just
the
do.
different techniques. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
This is a rough sequencing, but it need not be rigid sequence. Okay. Right. Technique lesson learned. Why? See, lessons learned. So he is talking about lessons learned. Why do you need to worry about lessons learned? Lessons learned are required because you should understand what are your successes, what are your opportunities for improvement, what are your failures, and recommendations for improvements. So that's why lessons learned is important. So you should always document the lessons learned. Suppose you went to do interview with some few people in the organization. People are not available. So then you need to understand individually you have to do interviews, or you have to conduct a group session. And how do you approach that? Without, you cannot go and complain that these people are not coming, I am not able to do business analysis. So you should always look at the key stakeholders and ask them what is the better approach. You should make changes to your approach in such a way. Instead of having one session with each person, you can always pull all of them at some time where they will have free time, because everybody cannot be busy every time. So there should be like whether you should go in the regular day or weekend, you should go to them early in the morning. You should ask the management to say that, okay, pull all of them before they actually start their work. Once they start their work, they are not reachable. So I need to have some time before that. So you can plan anything. So it's all based on the lessons learned. Clear?
Clear, yes.
Hmm. Right. So now lessons learned also known as retrospective. So what is meant by retrospective? Have you heard this word? If you have that agile
Mm-hmm.
methodology, you would have heard this retrospective.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Have I told you that lion does the retrospective? Have I told this statement? Lion.
No.
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 Lion after going few meters distance, it keeps traveling, no? So when it travels, it looks back to see how it has traveled, whether it has traveled in the right path. Yeah,
Mm.
it its territory? Are there anybody he has missed to address? So all that. So lion looks back to see its path. So
Mm.
whether the path is correct, path traveled is correct, or anything missed out, all that it keeps checking once it travels few meters. So that's
Okay.
how it is. So this we have in our languages we have a word for that. So how lion looks back. So the same thing is the
Mm.
retrospective. So you need to have retrospective to see even in life, even in your say job, every time you should look back and see whether the path that you have traveled is correct, or it requires any corrections.
Yeah.
So what are the lessons learned at different stages? So it's all based on that. That is what is the retrospective. And there could be formal and informal. Informal and formal basically is, so lessons learned formal, you can always document them. Sometimes you casually learn certain things which you, if you look back, many things you would have learned. So that you cannot explain, you cannot document, you cannot put that in a structured way. So that's where experts come into picture. No, expert judgment, why people say, is because of that. With experience you get that expertise, because how to talk certain things is a, yeah, after a meeting you would have told yourself that when I talk to this person I should not use these words. Have you told any times to yourself?
Yes.
I used to tell myself in one, when I was working in the factory initially, I used to meet one person. After all the discussion, end of it completed, every meeting it used to happen to me that I should not have uttered that last word, because that word he picked up in a different way. I should not have uttered. So like that I keep I used to think that last word I should have controlled. Why I did that? Something like that, no? Right.
So,
So,
so we're saying that in every stage, pretty much
yeah,
like we should just like to keep a lesson learned
that's
document in
that's right. That's right.
throughout the process.
Yeah, as much as possible. That
Possible.
should be written, because lessons learned, if you document, it is useful not only for you. It becomes a process asset for your organization. Someone else can learn from that. So
It's
at
true.
the conclusion of every business analysis, I say you don't need to document for every meeting, but you can document at least once in a while what are the lessons learned. Once you have completed the activity, you can have a session for identifying lessons learned. It is very difficult. People will not come up with the idea with what are the lessons learned. Somebody has to trigger. You can also initiate. You can say that this is an important tool in business analysis. If I can document what are the lessons learned, it will be useful for future. You become a matured business analyst, right?
Right. Makes sense.
Mm. Reinforcing positive experiences and successes, that is very important. Not alone the failures, always you look at that. Okay, what are the successes that you achieved and how your approach should be in future, so that you can get the same success. That's how you should look at. Participants may be reluctant to document and discuss problems. Honest discussion may not occur. I told you, no, this is an important caution. Whatever said and done, your lessons and documenting lessons learned is a very difficult task, right? Do you accept your mistakes?
I agree with you.
So that's the major problem. People will not be, they will be reluctant to document and discuss
Yes,
problems.
that's
That's how.
true.
All right. Lessons learned. You have the technique lessons learned and different elements of that. Business analysis activities and deliverables, the final solution, service or product, impact to organizational processes, performance expectations and results, positive or negative variance, root cause of results impacting performance, recommendations for behavioral approaches. These are all different elements. So why we are putting that into different elements? See, it will be difficult for you to just like that you ask what are the lessons learned, people will not be able to say. So you can always say what is that we are what is that you understood, which will contribute, which will have impact for our processes. How do we need to improve our processes based on your experience that you had during this business analysis, like that. So you have different elements which you can use for improvement of the processes and for documenting lessons learned also. So use this technique for various elements like business analysis activities and deliverables, the final solution, service or product, impact to organizational processes, performance expectations and results, positive or negative variance, and root cause of results impacting performance, recommendations for behavioral approaches. These are all different elements in which you can think what are the lessons learned and how they can impact. Okay. Okay, look at stakeholders. Stakeholders. So you need to, when you are planning business analysis, you should be aware of stakeholders. Stakeholders could be regulators, stakeholders could be domain experts, stakeholder could be project manager, stakeholder could be sponsor. So each one know how to approach them. So right, your own customer project manager, customer domain. See this fellow in subject matter expert, he will be in line with project manager. Having these things. Project manager wants to complete things faster. But this subject matter expert says you should not do like this. The sponsor wants less cost to be done. So there'll be regulators who says that these are all the things that you have to take care, like auditors and all. So you need to balance all those things. Okay,
Okay.
good. So that is what we have. So plan stakeholder engagement is another thing that we need to look at. Plan and approach for establishing and maintaining effective working relationship with the stakeholders. So this is, so if you come to, so business analysis, planning and monitoring is what we are looking at. Now we are talking about, one second. Plan stakeholder engagement. I just wanted to refer to one more document, the previous one, so that we are very clear on what we are talking about. So in this business analysis, planning and okay, these approaches is what I wanted to show. So first one, we have how to plan for business analysis approach we have done. Now we are looking at how to plan for stakeholder engagement. These are the areas that we wanted to see when we complete this, how to plan the business analysis planning and monitoring approach. So this is the core thing, planning and monitoring business analysis. For this, what are the outcomes that we thought? One is the approach part. Second is the stakeholder engagement. So now we are getting into the stakeholder engagement. Okay.
Okay.
So I look for that guidance. Otherwise, what we look at is we miss out what we are doing. So we just, it goes like some storytelling. So we should not, we should go back and see what we are doing. That is what is our line, how line looks back, no? Be retrospection. Okay. Now, plan an approach for establishing and maintaining effective working relationship with the stakeholders. That's how it is plan stakeholder engagement. We just spoke who are the stakeholders. The different stakeholders are there. That is, stakeholder could be a regulator, subject matter expert, project manager, sponsor, or any other way. So how do you manage them? So for that, see, for everything that our approach is, what is the purpose we should know, what are the elements involved, what are the guidelines and tools, and what are the techniques used. That's what we need to look for, right? So now, what is the purpose? Purpose of stakeholder engagement. Do we need to mention about the purpose that is required? Anyway, we will go through, because stakeholder engagement is very, very important, because stakeholder is a key person who gets affected by it could be one or more, it could be a group, key persons who get affected directly or indirectly by what you are doing. So needs and BA approach. So that's what is the fundamental thing. What are the needs? What are the requirements? Now plan an approach for establishing and maintaining effective working relationship with the stakeholders. For that, you need to identify the stakeholders. You need to analyze the characteristics of stakeholders. This we discussed. So characteristics of stakeholders could be somebody will be very old person who doesn't want to change. And there could be very young, dynamic guys who will dominate you. And right? So even that is there could be sober guys who don't care what you are trying to do. It doesn't matter to them. So these are all possibilities that are there. Some people will be engaged, some people will not be engaged. So you need to understand all those things. Plan stakeholder engagement approach. How do you need to mitigate all these things? How do you want to plan? Consider stakeholder complexity while planning for stakeholder engagement. That's important. So what is the purpose you understood now? Purpose is to elicit all the requirements from the stakeholders. How do you actually, you need to identify individual stakeholders and you need to analyze their characteristics such that your approach is properly planned. Okay. See, now when he told Fola, God only knows. Whether Fola could remember, Fola could not remember. Fola has documented, she has not documented. Now Fola thinks that fellow has not told, but that fellow says he has told Fola. Now how do you approach that? That's where people will be taking the steps like you want to record, you want to document, you want to get the sign off, you want to paraphrase. So these are all the approaches, right?
Right.
Now, what are the elements involved in stakeholder engagement? First, perform stakeholder analysis. So you need to know the roles of the persons. You need to know the attitude of the person, decision-making authority, level of power of influence. This power of influence, I'll show you something later. So that's important. Actually, you need to understand when you are talking about stakeholders, you need to know what is the level of that performance. So how do you want to engage those stakeholders? When you are on the topic, let me just get this, because that is interesting. You should remember when we are
Okay.
talking about that only. I will just show something. Training. Give me a minute. I want to show you something which is interesting for you to remember.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mhm. Ah, got it. Okay. I thought I was wasting my time. Okay.
had I talked about this at some point when you because I told you I'm also taking the class for project management, and we did this high and low interest grid today.
So I don't need to explain. That's good. Okay, you
So my
understood this.
son,
Okay.
please, I want your own explanation so I can know it very well.
Okay. Okay. See
Yeah.
now, when you are looking at stakeholders, you need to look at what is the power they have and what is
Mhm.
the interest they have on the project. Because this is always you get into 2 by 2 matrix. So the 2 by 2 matrix, drawing 2 by 2 matrix is very, very important. You know what is meant by 2 by 2 matrix? This is 2 by 2 matrix. Two on the x-axis, two on y-axis. You are making a matrix. So 2 columns and 2 rows. That's how it is called 2 by 2 matrix. 2 columns, vertical columns, 2 rows. So it is a 2 by 2 matrix. 2 by 2 matrix, for anything, if you are able to put this way, it becomes easy. So now for a stakeholders, some people will be very much interested in the project, but that fellow will have no effort, no power. He cannot decide. So now somebody has got very much interested. Interest is too much for that guy, but his power is low. So this quadrant, you understood that? So I want
Okay.
to know everything about the project, but I
Mhm.
don't have much power. So what do you do with that guy? So you just need to keep them informed, because otherwise he'll keep on harping on you. You didn't tell me. You should have told me this. You should have told that. All that stuff. He will trouble you. So you have to keep them informed. And some people will have very less interest on the project. They just they don't have power also. They don't have interest. They don't have power. What do you do with them? Low power, low interest. You just need to monitor such people. But do not bore them with excessive communication. If you give them more information also, they'll be bored. If you sometimes you need to understand what they are and where their interests are. You may have to just give them some small information. They are not, because they are. If you give more information, that fellow will say, "Why are you bombarding me with all such information? I don't need." But you need to give them some information, plus they are interested. They have some interest in the project. So your effort should be minimum in such case. You just need to monitor them. Okay, such stakeholders you just need to monitor. Now, some people will have very high power, but low interest in the project. Because that guy can do anything, make or break. He has got the power. But for him, if you give more information, he gets frustrated. So you just need to keep him in loop, give some information. But you need to also keep watching. Right? You should take care of his or her interests, such that they don't cause problem for you, because their influence is very much. Have you seen such people? They will
Yes.
be, yeah, they'll have power is there, but they don't have much interest. And
Interesting.
there is somebody who has got lot of interest, but power is not there. So people who have got lot of interest but power is not there, you just need to keep them informed. People who have got lot of interest but power is not there, is one aspect. They have got people who have got lot of power but interest is less. But who are your main stakeholders? People who have got lot of power, lot of interest. They will change the entire course of the project, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are the stakeholders, are decision makers and have biggest impact on your project success. So this quadrant, 2 by 2, this first quadrant on the positive side, this quadrant you should be very closely observing, because they have got lot of power, lot of interest. Got it? You
Yes.
understood the entire 2 by
I
2 matrix?
understand. Yes. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank
So
you for explaining this to me.
yeah. So this is very important. If you want to take a screenshot of this, you can take it. It's from PMP only, not mine. You can just take a screenshot if you want. So because I
Okay.
remembered, because I was presenting it to somebody, so I thought,
Mhm.
okay, at the right moment I should show you also. Anyway, that's
Thank
good.
you. I have the
Welcome.
screenshots already. Thank
Yeah,
you.
fine. Take care. Right. Shall we continue with this remaining tomorrow? I think we have We are running out
Yes,
of.
I just have a question. I have a question, but I can
Yeah.
ask it. through-
Yeah, go ahead, no problem.
Okay, so on the planning your business, your approach,
Mhm.
I know on the first slide you have external and internal influences. I just
Right.
want, what do you mean by example of external influences when
So
you're
for
doing your planning?
Yeah, one is I told you my niece example. No, I told external influences. The other guy is they are old people. They are putting a lot of you have to convince them other to get your information. Otherwise, those people will not be able to give you what you require. First problem, external factor. So your internal thing is you are trying to close your project fast. You don't have entire time in the world so that you can leisurely think of that guy and you keep empathizing that person. One simple example. You got it?
On your external influence, is that
See,
external or internal?
I told you internal influence is your time pressures because your cost is important.
Okay,
External influence is what customer expects, what documents he expects. So what type of documentation they want. So what we generally do is before we actually start the project, we go to the customer and tell that these are the templates I am going to use. Please validate my template first before I even deliver it. You understand? So that I can mitigate that external influence problem. So last minute you have prepared all the document. If somebody says your template is bad, I want to change the template. What do? You got it?
yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
how do you address that problem is what you need to think always. So for in all my projects, the first thing that I used to do is give the templates to customer first. Tell that this is the template I'm going to use. So don't question me on the template later.
Okay, okay,
So that's how you need to think of all those factors. That's one example. There can be multiple,
okay.
right? Right.
All right. Thank
Okay. Thank you, Fola.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Have a good night. Be happy.
Yeah, a good day. Good day for you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye.